Welcome to the 1976 Spruce Meadows Masters, and this afternoon we'll be featuring highlights of the...
Ian Miller and Big Ben, our 1991
Are you ready? I hope so, Ian. This is going to be really exciting.
Over 3 decades of championship sport, over 100,000 rounds completed, and now it's time to open the vaults at Spruce Meadows and choose the 100 greatest moments. Hello and welcome to Spruce Meadows. I'm Ian Allison, joined as always by John Garner for an exciting 2-episode trip down memory lane. And what a trip it has been. What a heroic task for the production team.
I don't know where you start in. You know, you were just saying over 100,000 competitive rounds at Spruce Meadows over the last 30 years. Never mind all the other variety of entertainment that goes on around the grounds, around the tournaments. You know, where do you start off? You know, what's 100? What's 1? I've no idea.
We really don't know what lies ahead. It's a bit of a mystery to us. There's been some speculation around the grounds. There will be some obvious moments, but I think there'll be some surprises.
Oh, and the guys have been pretty coy about what's going on. I know people around Spruce Meadows themselves have been trying to pull it out of the boys, and you know, as you say, we've got no idea, so we're going to see this firsthand as well.
Well, let's fire up the hard drives and do as we always do in television. Start with the wide shot, 10,000 feet above the international ring at Spruce Meadows. Well, the Flying Colors skydiving team had the best seats in the house at the 98 Masters, John, and they laid it on the line into the international ring at Spruce Meadows.
Ian, I've always wondered, why do you jump out of a perfectly serviceable aeroplane?
Well, we've had skydivers hit the grandstand, we've had them hit the highway, but this trio, they were spot on this day, a spectacular day at the Masters, and watch the way they landed in the international ring.
When you get that helmet cam going there, it's just an outstanding look, isn't it, as you come running into the field. Spots his landing, nicely done.
The Flying Colors skydiving team to start things off. In the late 1990s, Jan Tops was amongst the best in the world in this sport, and with this mare, he was very impressive at Spruce Meadows.
Well, solid horse, Ian, Operette Lacia. And I think it was really good for the fans and the regular comers to Spruce Meadows to see somebody like Jan in the summer tour. They're used to seeing them at the Masters, but having him turn up in June and for the Shell Cup was fantastic.
And to have him post a historic clear round on Derby Day at the National, one for the history books at Spruce Meadows.
Well, he's feeling pretty good right now, and then reigning Derby champion from the previous season, Laura O'Connor, comes in. Oscar stops, and Jan Tops has it in the bag.
Well, we've often commented, John, that this is a contact sport, a full contact sport, as Josh Stranahan of the United States found out in the 98 Smirnoff.
Well, great little mare, this Chantilly. Very, very quick. Coming up to the tabletop, you've got to get it just right. Fatal error there, and you know, when you get that change in elevation, it does alter how the horse perceives the jump.
Well, here's a great view of that change in elevation, how she goes for a swim onto the tabletop, and it's all over for Josh and Chantilly.
Tough partnership though, those two. I mean, they carried on jumping for a long time afterwards.
Number 97 is an interesting moment in Spruce Meadows history. The last day of the North American tournament has an event that's really become a real brawl for horses and riders, the Sun Life Financial Reach for the Sun. Aaron Duffy found out it's not so easy, even when you're in the home stretch.
Well, if people ever wonder why you have helmets on when you're riding jumping horses, and you find out right there. You know, she had a very nice trip going on Lionel, actually. But he wanted no piece of that rainbow butterfly vertical right by the end gate there.
Here's a great moment for all the wrong reasons. Søren van Rooyen, the calculated German star, member of the World Championship team in '94. Have a look at this.
He got that wrong on every single possible level you can in. Yeah, you can see that just as you're going into the slow motion, he realizes he's got it all wrong. And poor Catero has absolutely no chance. He is flying when he gets that stride wrong.
In 2001, we carted Richard Spooner out of the international ring after this fall. What a difference a year later with his great horse, Robinson.
Well, this, Ian, is one of those great moments because it's a moment about redemption. You know, Richard had come in with Robinson with high hopes of winning the Derby, got it completely wrong at the bottom of the bank. The next year, exactly the same competition. He resolves his issues, he rides it absolutely perfectly and gives himself every single chance to be successful. Masterful, masterful job.
The crowd could sense a special day on the final day of the North American, save for that final rail down. Perfection on the international course. As you know, clear rounds are a rare commodity.
When you can see that in Richard's face, he knows he's laid down a trip now. Now the pressure's on to everyone else. And Sheila Burke with Jameson, she just couldn't get it done.
The Chrysler Classic Pentastar, ladies and gentlemen, going to Richard Spooner. Following high school, Hugh Graham of Schaumburg, Ontario, made the transition from calf roper to show jumper. This moment was more from his rodeo days aboard Money Talks, his great stallion.
Again, I don't know what it is about them butterflies and the rainbow verticals, but sometimes those horses just seem to dislike it immensely. Money Talks was having no piece of that.
I like the way that Hugh is not going to let go of those reins as the stallion pulls back from the fence. Another great case for wearing your helmet, boys and girls.
Yeah, no kidding.
Jill Henselwood from Oxford Mills, Ontario, has won an Olympic medal, a Pan American, couple of Pan American medals, but 3 Spruce Meadows North American Championships in a row aboard Special Ed, who started as a dressage horse.
Well, Ian, to win one North American Championship is a feat because of what it takes to do it. You've got to be consistent through the whole week of the tournament. To do that as a three-peat is really quite something. And to do it all on one horse, I mean, that really does, it takes an incredible amount of resilience and hard work.
I guess we return to the helmet sales video again here, John, with a countryman of yours, Scott Smith of the UK.
Yeah, first time at the Masters, and Cabri Dell wanted no piece of the CN vertical. Ooh, nice land there, Scott.
Things happen quickly in sport. International show jumping, there is no time to let your guard down. Case in point, Gary Brewster at the bank at Spruce Meadows.
One minute you're galloping along, the next minute you're laid out on your back.
And that's the easy part of the bank. It's only about a 2-foot rail going up there, but it's the elevation change we have to always be paying attention to.
I think Watermark come out of that ring with a sore nose, Ian.
It's a long walk from the north end to the clock tower. The Atco Electric 6-bar, Canada's John Anderson. You want memorable moments? How about a memorable natural hat trick? John Anderson with his cape on aboard Superman.
What a horse this was, Ian. Superman. He just pinned his ears forward and attacked those jumps.
It's the show jumping equivalent to high jumping, and John Anderson went on a 3-year run with this bay horse that's one I'll always remember. Ladies and gentlemen, into the history books with a 3rd consecutive engraving on the trophy for John Anderson of Canada, the first victory. I think we'll call this the self-inflicted wound category. The Trans-Canada Parcours de Chasse, Brazil's Carlos Ribas on this beautiful little horse that had really caught the attention of the crowd.
I'm sitting at the clock tower watching this, and I still can't believe he did that.
Waving to the crowd, congratulating them on watching him complete the course. He separates his shoulder, and his little horse Moo Moo carries him to the clock tower for medical aid. In 2003, 14-year-old Amy Aaron of the United States went into the record books as the youngest ever to win an international event at Spruce Meadows, and then a year later, she repeats to prove it was no fluke.
Well, I'm not sure what was the biggest shock. I think probably her coming back a second time, because now she knows the pressure. She's going to feel the pressure a little bit. But what astounded me through the whole competition was she never got flustered. She rode like a really wise veteran.
And in the Atco Structures double slalom, it takes 5 rounds to get it done.
There could have been a lot of pressure on me, but I just looked on the bright side and said, I'm 15 and it feels good just to be here.
The 2004 champion of the Atco Structures double slalom. Canada's Mario Delorier, former World Cup winner and one of the best speed riders in the world, was not Super Mario in this jump off in the Meadows on the green.
Well, looking to shave every bit of time he can. Really tight angle on the orange upright, and gets it wrong.
If you're going to take it down, take it all down, Mario.
But look at this, and she tries to jump it again, the horse. I mean, he gives it every effort. Ouch.
Here's big effort. Rich Fellers and the Devil's Dyke aboard Flexible. Function over form.
This is unbelievable. Look at that. Look at that.
That little stallion showed great heart for the first time he'd ever seen a Devil's Dyke, and carries Rich Fellers across the finish line.
And that is the most incredible 4 faults you are ever going to see in your life. 3 straight from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, and gets out.
He's just a fighter. That's all there is to it. He tries so hard every time he goes in the ring. It's just, it's really a special feeling, and like I say, a really, really special horse. I've never had one like him, and I probably never will have another one like him.
Here's a costly error from a great veteran, Leslie Howard of the United States, under terrible conditions at the CN Performance Grand Prix in 2007. And what's the lesson here, kids?
Read the course plan. Always read the course plan and know where the last jump is.
A clear performance aboard her Dutch-bred gelding Joop under the most demanding of conditions, and she lets up.
Listen to the crowd. They're all telling her, Leslie, Leslie, last jump, last jump.
She gets to the out gate and click, here we go. Fire up the engine on this Dutch-bred gelding and head over to the other side of the arena. This is an Olympic gold medalist we're talking about here. 21 jumping faults to finish up the day.
You know, as much as you remember your great victories in your career, you also unfortunately remember the big oopsies in your career, because I think there were only 3 clear that day, maybe 2. The hardest part was calling my husband at the end of the day to tell him that this little horse had just done all that and I forgot the last jump. So anyway, always look at the course chart before you walk a course. I guess that's the lesson to be learned there.
Thus far in our greatest moments, we've learned to wear your helmet and follow the course plan. What's the next rule we have to pay attention to, John?
You must jump between the flags, Ian. Just because you jump an obstacle on course, like Robert Kraut's doing there, if it's not between the flags, you're off course.
Now that's a skinny vertical.
I don't know how he fits through there. It's incredible.
Bob Kraut took it all in stride back to Oconomowoc, Wisconsin. At the start of the 1999 Masters tournament, Mario Delorier told me, watch this horse. He's going to win on Sunday. And he was right. We're talking about Radiator.
Well, and talk about a combination that came out of absolutely nowhere. I mean, they hadn't been on the international radar all season. But when they got in that jump off and put down the pedal, they were flying.
And what a jump off it was. Rene Tebel, Beth Underhill, Rodrigo Pessoa, Jerry Smith, and John Whitaker.
Well, Beth Underhill carrying the hopes of a nation on the Great Gelding Altar. You really thought this was going to be the day for Canada.
It was electric in the stadium. She gave it all she had, and there you see 0.4 of a second. The difference between gold and silver. Rene Tebel wins it for Germany.
I suppose memorable about Spruce Meadows is you never know what to expect of bloody weather. You don't know whether to come for sunshine or hail or snow or frost or whatever. So I suppose outside of the competition, I said the weather is probably my most memorable moments in Spruce Meadows.
More often than not, glorious Alberta sunshine at Spruce Meadows. Not Sunday morning of the Masters in 1992. Snow jumping. Wow.
This was absolutely ridiculous. I remember waking up on the morning of this tournament and going, you know, I'd only been in the country a couple of years. I can't believe it still went ahead. I thought it was going to be cancelled.
Well, the best in the world had fresh tracks at Spruce Meadows, and it was a good Canadian boy, Mario Delorier, who led the winner's circle over the soft ice that morning.
Oh, that's incredible stuff, isn't it?
You know, John, we've seen the nicest horses in the world, literally, over the last 3 decades. None nicer than this horse, Cool.
I'm going to explain to the people now, Ian, why it's a nice horse. Look at that shoe. He loses his left front shoe, goes flying off.
Then he loses the jockey.
Yeah, and then instead of putting on the brakes and panicking, he just digs deep and does what he knows he's supposed to do, which is to jump over the jumps. Absolutely incredible.
And he was just a youngster at this stage. Casey Harrison, a nasty spill. She gets up, walks out of the stadium. But what an impressive display of horsepower that was from Coeur. You want a memorable weekend for a rider? Take Laura O'Connor at the 1996 Spruce Meadows North American with a horse that had no business playing at this level of the sport, Oscar.
He was just such an honest type, wasn't he, Ian? You know, I mean, you'd put your kid on him and he was a stallion. But he, you know, he was so genuine, he was so calm, and he gave everything he had.
So first off, he comes out, goes 3 rounds through the Queen Elizabeth II Cup. In itself, a memorable way to highlight a year. Takes the boots to the likes of Damian Gardner, who was riding at the top of the sport at the time aboard Hendricks.
I can't believe it. I thought he had me for sure.
Now lift the Queen Elizabeth II Cup from the podium.
One for the history books as she lifts the Queen Elizabeth II Cup less than 24 hours later through the clock tower to take on the course, the Derby course, over a kilometer, more than 20 jumping efforts.
You got to say, Ian, that this would be one of the hardest weekends in the sport of international show jumping, Queen's Cup and the Derby. I mean, talk about an effort there. He could have pitched her into the bottom of the Devil's Dyke. No, he picks her up, comes out clean.
It's like, hang on with me, kid, I'll get you to the finish line, and that's what he did over the final fence. A light rub on the planks, good enough to win, of course, because clear rounds are such a rare commodity on the final day of the North American.
And once again, Damian Gardner was the bridesmaid. Tough weekend for Damian.
The Pentastar from the podium. Ladies and gentlemen, what a shot it is. The newly crowned champion of the Chrysler Classic. Canada's Chris Pratt is one of the really good guys in the sport, and in 2004 he was on one of the really good horses in Revendell when things went badly.
Well, and this is a nasty crash in because he gets absolutely stomped on by the back foot there.
I think I was too long, I was too far away from the plank, and the way that the planks are shaped, it actually made me another 2-3 feet further away from that plank. And neither of us really decided what to do, and that's the result that you see of that.
Well, you know how there's certain golfers that shine on certain courses? There's a guy named John Anderson who's grown up at Spruce Meadows, and he has won the toughest, arguably the toughest event on the tour 3 times in his career on 3 different horses. We're speaking of the Chrysler Classic Derby at the Spruce Meadows North American.
And over a 14-year period in. I mean, he's nothing if not consistent. Every 7 years he's going to be up for it on Derby Day.
Well, in 2008, it was aboard the mare that maybe lacks the scope but has the heart. Jacine 36 carrying him across the finish line to force a jump off with Mario Delorier.
Well, mistake by Mario and Paradigm, and just handed the championship to John.
I love those derbies. I'm actually, I'd like to have the same sort of success in some of the Grand Prix I jump in, but those wild classes, I guess, are a little fun for me. But for me, the sense of satisfaction is the fact that I've done it on 3 different routes.
From Canada, John Anderson. Look for him in 2015 if he's on schedule. Well, here's the pure definition of a highlight. Nick Skelton aboard this great stallion Russell, winning the ATCO Electric 6-bar for a 3rd consecutive year, and look at him power over that final vertical.
Well, and this horse will jump absolutely anything, any day. 1 year earlier he was jumping in the snow, so I think Nick was pretty happy that it was a nice evening.
Masters for the 3rd consecutive year. Nick Skelton of Great Britain aboard Russell jumps to victory in the ATCO Electric 6-bar. Oh, number 76 is a great memory for me, John. Peter Charles, former groom of Eddie Mackin, comes to Spruce Meadows with his great horse Laina and jumps to victory. Perfect day on the biggest day in the sport.
Oh, this was an absolutely fantastic day. The place is absolutely packed. And you know what? He had lightning in a bottle on this day. Laina was jumping absolutely fantastically, and Peter was just right on top of his game.
2 magnificent rounds, a clear-cut winner. Peter Charles so excited he couldn't even throw his helmet properly. He is quite a character and a worthy champion of the 96 International. Show jumping champion, Peter Charles.
Everything for the last 6 months was geared around bringing him here to win that. And they asked me what my aims were when I got here this year, and I said, it's simple, I'm going to win on Sunday. If I don't make a mistake, I know my horse won't, and I was very clear and positive about it.
Well, no surprise with Peter Charles making the 100 greatest moments. It was a great victory for a great rider they could make a movie about.
Yeah, he's had an interesting life, hasn't he? Former groom of Eddie Mackin, and then becoming a top jockey all in his own right. First for Great Britain, then for Ireland, now back for Great Britain again.
Well, the British have dominated the International like no other nation, but the next moment is one they're maybe not too fond of.
Well, Malcolm Pyra certainly wouldn't be. You know, he did win the International in 1982. 4 years later on the Great Towlands Angles Arc, now getting to the end of his career, he met up with the Spruce Meadows Balustrade. Things didn't go so good for Malcolm.
Moment number 75 brought a hush over the stadium at Spruce Meadows, one of the great combinations of the time. Disaster at fence number 1.
Boy, it doesn't look good now, even after all these years. And you see his legs stuck through the balustrade, have got into it. But, you know, we'll see a different camera angle of it in a minute, Ian. And initially your thought was, is the ground give out from him? But I think what you'll see is, as you go forward here, that he lifts up his back legs, he pushes down there, and then he goes to lift again and almost tries to put down again.
There you see the misstep to disaster. Horse and rider were both okay, but the British were clearly frustrated.
And I'm very disappointed for his sake, plus the fact we have a lame horse, which is more serious than anything.
Number 74, another gut check moment at the Masters.
Well, Wim Schroeder on Eurocommerce Berlin makes a monumental mistake going into the triple combination at the double of Liverpools. My goodness me.
And that big Holsteiner just snapped those rails like toothpicks, but the stallion got up very calm and completely sound.
I mean, when you look at that in, I mean, he just lands right in the middle of the jumps. He's like Shamu.
Do not try this at home.
Look for this splash over this second Liverpool. I mean, really, the horse should have stopped, right? I mean, the horse has to stop at that moment, but jumping horses being what they are, they want to get to the other side if they can.
Number 73, judging by this is not the Bedrock Nations Cup. This is the first Outdoor Nations Cup in North America, the BMO Nations Cup of 1977, and the powerhouse German team beat a powerhouse British team.
If you say so, you're on your own here, Trigger. I was still in school.
Well, it was men like Uli Meyer-Zabexton and future world champion Norbert Kuf that carried the West Germans to victory at Spruce Meadows.
Boy, that footage is great, isn't it?
Well, here's one you'll remember, youngster. Last year at the Masters, final fence for Pete Rijmakers of the Netherlands.
Oh, God, I mean, it is just such a nasty fall. But, you know, again, one of those situations where horse and rider both get up, both walk out fine, and remarkably, he was on his way to a clear round in the first round of the Nations Cup.
Here's one, John, I know I'm going to like from the get-go. There's the laser vision of celebration of Leslie Howard aboard the Flying Dutchman Sublieft, and this horse shone at Spruce Meadows like nowhere else.
Well, this is one of your favorites, any old Sublieft. You know, and she could pull him out almost any single competition and really be in with a shout. And what I know is while she's jumping these fences, Peter Howard is standing in the clock tower, twitching and giving himself a hernia.
Well, there's a jump-off win in the Shell Cup, and there's Peter Howard working on the hernia.
You know, as fierce a competitor as she is in, she has one of the greatest smiles when she's winning.
Leslie Burr Howard of the United States, the newly crowned champion of the Shell Cup.
Ooh, number 70, I remember like it was yesterday. It brought a hush over Spruce Meadows as the riding master, the legendary Albert Cly, had a disaster on the international ring.
Well, what happened here, Ian, is he got all those long shadows from the evening sun in front of the jump, and Daiquiri thought that was a takeoff pole and just leapt in the air. He got the shock of his life when he's landing and he's finding the jumps in right in his face.
John Whitaker, the 2007 BP Cup. What a day for John Whitaker. What a character-building day for this guy. Kyle King, raised on the back of a horse here at Spruce Meadows, started jumping the Derbies as a young man aboard Laramie. Then with this Hanoverian mare, Estival, came in against the best in the world and really put together the best round he could.
Ian, he'd done a great job all summer, an absolutely fantastic job, and he'd really primed for this competition. When he crossed the finish line, he really believed he'd done everything he could and really thought he'd got a great chance, and he had got a great chance. But let me tell you this, there's a reason why every kid growing up in Britain wants to ride like this man, John Whitaker. And this competition, we're going to find out why. It was an absolute clinic. Off the get-go, Casino, who he's riding, had not been out of the barn all week. He'd been sick, come over with shipping fever from Europe. He'd only been riding for a couple of months. He got no idea really what the horse was capable of doing. So he's just like, well, you know, I'll put the horse to the fences and let's see what happens. Well, let's see what happens.
He has 4 seconds in penalties there, so he has to open up the throttle.
This is absolutely ridiculous.
Just ask that man.
I know how you feel, Kyle.
jumping, a clinic put on today by the great John Whitaker of Great Britain, laying claim to the BP Cup.
To be honest, when I had the fence down, I thought I'd lost it, I thought I'd blown it, but yeah, I kept trying. I thought, I'm going to get as much as I can out of this class, and I kept going, and I couldn't believe when I looked up and it said in the lead,
Well, here's one I remember for all the wrong reasons. Just ask Andrew Philbrick. Horse puts on the brakes, boom, into the middle of the road jump. You talk about a Spruce Meadows wedgie. That hurt.
Poor fella's just stuck in there, isn't it?
No, nothing.
I tell you, when you look at it again, you watch it, just look at the back here. Oh, like right on the edge there. That is going to leave a mark.
That is a serious Charlie horse. And Andrew Philbrick, another one who's experienced the walk out of the international ring.
That ditch has been filled in now.
Well, the British sent their best team from the get-go to compete in the BMO Nations Cup, and in 1996, they made the history books by finally going metric in Great Britain.
Yeah, number 10 this,
10 victories, amazing, and what a team. John Whitaker, Michael Whitaker, Nick Skelton, or the Three Amigos as they're known here, and one of the great characters, Jeff Billington, riding It's Auto. Look at the hair on Whitaker.
He can barely keep his helmet on. But what was really good again about this one is another trip where John Whitaker doesn't have to go. The other three had done it all before him.
What history.
What an incredible charge for the British.
Fantastic. My boys are
A lot of British in this show, John. Here's one
Funny,
that everyone in the world remembers. The great Milton. Laura Belisky, another character-building moment at Spruce Meadows. She's in the clubhouse leading the 1986 International with her great horse Lavendel. Who's left? The best in the world, Milton and Whitaker.
But she had to know the odds were stacked against her unbelievably. I mean, this pair will go down in history as one of the great combinations of all time of any era.
A horse that could jump in any era. There's only a handful of them, and for sure, John Whitaker's Milton is one of them.
It's just for the TV round.
World Cup Day 2001. This was another hush over the stadium. Nicole Simpson at the water jump, 5 months pregnant.
Well, Ian, this sport is one of a matter of centimeters, millimeters almost. Sun Cal's king there, he puts his right front foot backwards. If he just places it forwards, everything's good. It goes back, he slips, and down she goes. Oh, look at that. He almost gets smacked in the back of the head.
Thank goodness Nicole and the horse were all right. Her son doesn't like water very much, but other than that, things turned out well. Haie Schweitzer of Switzerland. We've got the Spruce Meadows diving team in the highlight package right now from the Edit Sweet Boys 2007 CN International.
Well, again, how quickly it can go wrong, Ian. Jumps in super over the bicycle fence. Into the triple combination, triple bar leading in, should be a piece of cake, eh? Triple bar's easiest fence in the world to jump. My goodness me, he gets it wrong.
One thing you notice with these veterans, they seem to know how to fall. It's not the first time.
It's not the first time they've hit the ground, that's for sure.
They get out of the way as best they can. Beth Underhill has had her fair share of spills and her fair share of victories at Spruce Meadows through a great career. On this beautiful day in the Shell Cup aboard Monopoly, she went into the history books for the right reasons.
Well, and this is a super combination, Ian. I mean, for Canadian show jumpers. I mean, there was a time when, these guys were arguably as big a name as Ian and Big Ben at their time. I mean, and so consistent.
Great success around the world. Originally a New Zealand-bred Hanoverian, went on to go into the Jump Canada Hall of Fame because of that lady, Beth Underhill.
Ladies and gentlemen, standing here in disbelief, the new champion of the Shell Cup, Beth Underhill, with a stunning victory aboard Monopoly. Hoisting the Shell Cup in spectacular fashion. Of course, Chuck, you were in
Oh, number 62. How do you say "I'm okay" in French? Mario Delorier in the Smirnoff Cup coming to the road jump.
Mario's going to start to think we don't like him, or we're only showing him crashing. Boy. You know, again, you've got that change in elevation, and he comes flying on there really, really long. And I think poor Faisal there, he's just like, I can't jump that from there.
Well, and Mario's not one to let up in a speed event. That's why they call him Super Mario. Today it was not to be. Oh, here's some horsemanship from the Atco Power Queen Elizabeth II Cup. Remember Richard Spooner coming into this combination and just knowing it was wrong.
Look at this, the horse just leaves and he lets go of the reins. Ian, the gumption you need to be able to do that. I've been pulling on the right rein and bailing out of there as quick as I possibly could. That is absolutely outstanding.
It goes against your natural instincts, like driving on ice. You want to hit the brakes. He did the right thing. He survived to ride another day. Well, I think you're getting the sense that even the best in the world can have tough days. Case in point, Meredith Michaels Beer Bomb, opening day of the 2005 Masters Tournament. Last fence on course, and things didn't really work out too well for her.
Well, she was about the best in the world at this time and since then, but man, I mean, everything just seemed to be going absolutely perfectly. And like you say, it was last fence on course. And then all of a sudden, she's absolutely catapulted into the turf there, knocked out completely cold. And that finished off her tournament. We didn't see her jump again.
Well, and she took a little time to recover. A tough way to end the 2005 season for Meredith Michaels Beer Bomb. ...2005 Spruce Meadows North American, recently crowned Olympic gold medalist Will Simpson down the bank. That was not a gold medal trip.
Well, some of these moments are over a little quicker than some others, Ian. I mean, he was flying as he was going around that course. Come down the bank carrying an awful lot of pace, and suddenly he gets to the flat spot and bang!
One of the great catch riders of all time, Will Simpson. Never one to shy away from a one-liner.
No worse than ever.
You never know how you're going to meet the flat land when you're coming down that hill. And I think we're just a little bit off stride. So it just was one of those things where we were moving a little too fast and gravity took over.
It was only a matter of time. I knew he'd surface eventually. Rodrigo Pessoa, world champion, World Cup champion, Olympic champion, and this moment winning his third consecutive Encana Cup at the Spruce Meadows Masters with Balubé Doulouet.
What's amazing here is we're already now seeing our third three-peat. I mean, you can hardly believe that. But what's so special about this for me is the fact that it's a Grand Prix competition. So you've got three different course designers, three totally different tracks. Absolutely incredible stuff.
And in 2005, he did it under very demanding conditions to show what a great he truly is. And now the three-time champion of the Encana Cup from Brazil, Rodrigo Pessoa and Balubé Doulouet. 2007 BMO Nations Cup, one that's made the highlight reels for many reasons with one of the greats again. We're sounding a bit repetitive here. This time it's Whitaker Michael.
Yeah, and unfortunately he's not winning anything either. Second round of the Nations Cup. This had been really, really difficult to jump all day. And this is a nasty, nasty fall. Watch his face right into the ground there.
And this is a tough customer. That was such a bad fall that Michael Whitaker did not compete for the $1 million the next day in the CN International. Got his bell rung.
He was less than chuffed, I can tell you that.
There's a bit of a trend here, John. Rain in the air and three-time winners. Now, BZ Madden didn't know she was going to be a three-time winner because this guy, Santiago Lombre, looked like he'd won the Nexen Cup in a very soggy 2008 event. But guess who was last into the ring?
Well, much like poor Kyle King with John Whitaker, isn't it? You know, Santiago had done a masterful job. He'd gone round with time faults, so BZ couldn't afford a rail. I think he had, what, 2 or 3 time faults, something like that, almost the perfect score. Question was, would judgment leave the fences up? And by now, you know, for a horse that has water issues, he's becoming a Derby hero.
Well, it was absolutely a drenching day. But there's the smile of a champion riding a 17-year-old stallion to victory. Ladies and gentlemen, BZ Madden and judgment continue here at Spruce Meadows. Moment number 54 involves the Spruce Meadows bank. We've seen the entrance, we've seen the exit during the program. Now this is the actual bank, 5 meters at the north end of the international ring.
Well, Nicole Simpson again for a second time we're going to see her. This time on Circa Z, great French stallion. Gets to the top of the bank here, settles up, and woo! Bang!
Check out those divots. Oh. That's the end of her day as she and the stallion go different ways at the bottom of the bank.
And you can't believe how lucky they are not to get hurt here. I mean, his feet just give out from underneath him. Watch him there, just push him away. Get away from me.
Number 53, Nick Skelton, 2006 BMO Nations Cup. This has to be about halftime adjustments because Russell and Nick, it was flying all over the yard in the first round. We have laws in Canada about this much lumber coming down in one place.
It was absolutely ridiculous, Ian. I mean, there was barely a fence he left up there. And to be able to come back and do what he did in the second round, great stuff.
When things are going good, don't change anything. But I think when you have things go wrong, like went desperately wrong, then you've got to try something different for the second round. And normally, the change of bridle sharpens things up and changes things, and they think, oh, something's different, and you get a different result.
This has to be the greatest turnaround in Spruce Meadows history. And, you know, from being ridiculously high score, it put Great Britain in with a chance of winning the Nations Cup.
From zero to hero, Nick Skelton, moment number 53. There's a hug of victory. 2006 CN International champion Eugenie Angot. An upset, I think, aboard this 16-year-old mare.
Oh, there's no question it was an upset, Ian. I mean, she had won a competition earlier in the week, and I think that had surprised a lot of us on a second horse. And Sigal du Tilly was a little, about 16, I think. And so getting towards the end of its career, and it's the first time Eugenie had been here. And I think all of us feel that you have to learn how to ride the international ring. It takes time.
Well, through 2 rounds, she didn't let the pressure get to her, taking on the best in the world, including 2-time champion Ian Miller. But in the end, it was the charismatic French lady in the winner's circle at Spruce Meadows. Ladies and gentlemen, 2006 champion of the CN International. Oh, this one's still fresh in my memory, even though it's over 20 years ago. They were at the top of the sport. The gentle giant, or as Ian Miller called him, the ruggedly handsome Big Ben, and for the first time, taking on the best in the world on home turf.
Well, even at this time, Ian, the crowd sensed that there was something special. I mean, the people knew they'd got themselves a real champion.
Into the jump off, through the Liverpools, eating up the ground in the international ring. And Big Ben still hadn't hit full stride in his career. A Hall of Fame career that is still vivid in the minds of many.
Ian Miller, Big Ben, 1987, magic at Spruce Meadows. A great way to finish off today's program, our first half of the top 100 moments at Spruce Meadows. So time now, John, for you to pick your favorite.
I gotta pick one out of that group. Okay, we'll give it a shot. You know, the guys did a great job, Ian, gotta tell you that. I got to go with John Whitaker and Casino. You know, it was a real tough week. The horse had got shipping fever on the flight over from Europe. It was his first time in the international ring on that horse. He'd only been riding the horse for a couple of months. The look on Kyle King's face when he realized he'd been beaten was, I mean, that was sport.
And he joined a big club of riders that have been beaten by one of the best in the world, John Whitaker. Club. It's a good club to be in. My pick, Ian Miller and Big Ben, 1987. They had played hard in North America for the few years leading up, and then the world came to Spruce Meadows and they showed their stuff. Tough jumping, big crowd, a real brawl to win the thing, and it launched them onto the world stage as the #1 combination for years to come. Ian Miller and Big Ben, my #1 pick of the moments we've seen today. 50 more to come when we get together next time. But now, on behalf of John Garner, I'm Ian Allison. Thank you for joining us at Spruce Meadows.